Heather Wilson, welcome to my show. We have a fantastic topic here. It's really interesting because you're a crowdfunding website or site platform, call it what you will, and there are others out there in the space, but you've managed to carve out a very unique niche and grow exponentially in the past couple of years. I mean, it just got my attention because you're in a very competitive space. So, again, your website is Give, Send, Go. It's a crowdfunding website. So, if it's charity or a church or a community or an organization want to raise funds, you're, pardon the pun, the go-to site for many people. Tell us about it and welcome to the show again.
Yeah, thank you for having us. So Give Send Go was started about 8 years ago. At the time, there were a couple big players in the market and then a whole bunch of small crowdfunding platforms that had kind of popped up because they had seen, oh, wow, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Today, there's not as many small ones as the big ones have been scooping them up and really trying to make a monopoly out of, hey, we are the site. And so Give Send Go came on the scene just as a alternative to sites like GoFundMe. And we have been walking this out for the last 8 years. And in the more recent 2 or 3 years, we've watched ourselves get thrown into this national spotlight for being a little bit different than our competitors.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's what we're going to get to. That's the nut graph, as it were, of this whole story. Because just to launch a crowdfunding website, that's a tough call, because it's a saturated space. Getting market share to me is a pipe dream. But you found yourself in the spotlight politically, I guess, during COVID. You took the right road. That's the correct word. And then you just grew from there. Tell us about it.
Sure. It actually even started probably what got us in the attention with the COVID truckers and all that happened then. A year and a half prior to that, a young man named Kyle Rittenhouse had found himself in some problems because he had shot some people in the protests that were happening in Kenosha.
Which protests were these?
In Kenosha after George Floyd. They were burning down the city, and this young boy named Kyle Rittenhouse found himself in some legal trouble because he had shot some people that were chasing him. It was all over the news and things like that. And so he went to start a fund to raise money for his defense. And no one would allow him to have a defense because the mob, Facebook, everybody wanted to just say he was guilty. And so he finally found Give Send Go and started a campaign on Give Send Go. And we allowed him to raise money because he lives in the United States, and it was a legal defense fund for we didn't know if he was innocent or guilty. We didn't think it should be tried on the court of public opinion. And so what we did is we allowed him to raise money. He raised over $600,000 on Give Send Go. It threw us into this spotlight of people really going, who is this platform that would allow something that everybody else says we shouldn't allow? And it put our name out there, not always in a good light. A lot of people didn't like that. But the kid, a year and a half later, when he went to trial, got found not guilty. And so here's all these big tech platforms that shut him down, and he was found not guilty in a court of law. And that is why we now stand to give everybody a voice. And you saw it with the truckers during COVID up in Canada. You could see it with just a lot of situations that happen where big tech seems to have their own agenda and wants to decide who gets the voice or not. And we've decided we will be a voice for all.
When you started this out and experimenting with it with your brother, right? You're the co-owners, and it's a private company. You never anticipated this kind of growth, I'm sure.
We always talked about, when Give Send Go takes off, that was like our tag. Well, then we would talk, okay, let's just keep marketing. And when Give Send Go takes off, and we hoped, but we didn't understand the need that we would fill. We thought we would just be an alternative platform, just another choice that people had in the matter. We didn't know how needed we would be in today's day and age, that there would actually be such censorship going on the other platforms that if it wasn't for Give Send Go, there would be a whole segment of people that never got to raise money. And we know that money gives people a voice, gives people some power. And when you take that away from people, they can be left without a voice.
So Heather, when you started this up, there was clearly polarization in the US society globally, but it's become more intense in the past couple of years. There are various explanations for that. So you really didn't see, what was about to unfold. It unfolded, and your company has grown, and there's some stunning statistics. What kind of numbers are going through your platform at this moment, and where has it grown from?
Even from just last year, just to show you kind of a growth pattern, we're up 500% to 800% in our numbers from just last year. In the spring of this year, we expanded from being available in 35 countries where people could raise funds to 86 countries. We're just watching this growth. Our staff has grown. All of our numbers, people are coming on by the hundreds a day, starting campaigns on GiveSendGo, raising millions of dollars every month, and just really spreading the word that there is this replacement platform that is so much better than the alternatives, not just because we don't censor, but because we also believe that money is only part of the solution. And we reach out to every campaign that started on GiveSendGo, and we offer hope through our prayer team. We have a team of people that call you and say, hey, I see you had a house fire. Can I just pray with you right now over what you're raising money for? And people, even people that don't have any faith background, love the connection that somebody cares enough to call them and reach into their situation and offer them some hope. And we're watching that really change the culture.
You have millions of dollars a month. Would that be correct, going through your platform?
Absolutely, yes.
And while you're a private company, you can't really fully disclose how profitable you are, but you are profitable. I mean, any further sense on that?
Yeah, so GiveSendGo, people always ask, well, we tell people that we are a free Christian platform. And people go, well, how are you free? What does that even mean? Well, when crowdfunding first started, most crowdfunding platforms, we all have a processing fee based on our processor. It's 2.9% plus 30 cents. It's a third-party processor. But then the crowdfunding platforms would charge about a 5 to 10% just to use their platform and all the tools to share and make a campaign. When we started, we decided really early on that we were not going to charge that platform fee, that we were going to just operate for free. So people go, well, how does that work? How can you be profitable and maintain that business model? Well, what we do is that we have a little box on the Give Now button that when somebody goes to donate to a campaign, that they can also give something to GiveSendGo to help keep us free. And what we're watching, despite all the bad news we hear out there, we're watching a very generous people come on to GiveSendGo recurringly, often over and over again, to find needs and say, I'm going to step in and help out. And then they also throw, $1, $5, $10, whatever, it made more sense to take money from the people who had it than the people who needed it.
Yeah. It's sort of somewhat like the Wikipedia model too. You can donate sort of goodwill offering. GiveSendGo is in the top 1% of websites visited by traffic in the USA. Over 2 million prayers have been posted on campaigns on GiveSendGo. Current events increased 85% in 2000 over the total last year. Money raised for churches increased 95% this year over the year prior. Medical fundraisers are up 70% in 2022. It goes on and on. Number of employees increased 1,000%. I guess that's in the past 12 months. And GiveSendGo saw the most traffic in 3 countries in the past 12 months: the USA, Canada, and the UK. I just took a peek before we came on your website. I was impressed, and it was interesting because there's a fundraiser for I always have problem pronouncing this, but the Hoek family in Pennsylvania. It's a pro-life fundraiser. They were house was raided by the FBI. My goodness, I mean, there's people still reeling and shocking. Try to explain that. So they've raised something in the region of 38,000 now, and then there was a Hurricane Ian fund. This one, there's a fundraiser for a detransitioning program for somebody called Sarah, I believe, and that's raised over 14,000.
Yeah, we're seeing campaigns across the board, like you just mentioned, three that are totally different situations. And we're watching people come on and from, maybe raising money for their pets, that something happening with their pets, to some tragedy that happened. People are using GiveSendGo to be able to raise money, share easily with their friends and family, and really replace the other sites that are getting into the censorship game. Because whether or not GoFundMe would allow you to raise money for your pet on GoFundMe, knowing that they could take you down at any moment based on their own ideological bent, we say you shouldn't have to worry about that. So come to GiveSendGo. We're going to, like you said, we have a give button, a share button, and a pray button. And like you said, over 2 million people have clicked that pray button and sent a message of prayer and hope to people on our platform. And it's the missing piece that we see in these other, and it's making a difference. I can't tell you how many stories we have heard of people just going, man, I cannot believe that you care, like a big tech crowdfunding platform cares enough about my situation to reach out to me.
Yeah. So you're a traditional business model in the sense that you promote traditional values that we long cherished in America and in the Western world, and that are being taken away from us to quite a large degree. I'm assuming there are some no-nos, some radical, diabolical, evil person who's doing a fundraiser. I can't imagine anybody at this stage, but you might give pause to somebody like that.
This is a discussion we get asked about a lot, a question we get asked about a lot, and a discussion we have a lot with our team, because there is the standing for freedom and understanding that even with freedom comes consequence, right? Like we don't say take away the consequence if somebody has the freedom to choose to do something wrong. So we allow legal defense fundraisers. So that means somebody might have done something bad and they're raising money for legal defense, but we don't become the judge and jury on that. We allow them, the system in the United States, to do their job and allow them to raise funds for a legal fee on GiveSendGo, no matter what they've done. Now that can be a little bit of a rub because people have already done the bad thing and they're not raising money to do a bad thing. They've already done the bad thing, and now they're just wanting to be afforded the same rights as a rich person would in our justice system. And if their friends and family will give, then we allow them to. We do not allow murder on GiveSendGo, which sounds obvious.
I hope not.
but with that being said, we also say, well, you can't say I'm going to go buy a gun and kill somebody, but we also believe that a baby in the womb is a human being. And so we do not allow abortion on GiveSendGo because under our murder clause. And then the only other one is we don't allow child abuse, which again, everybody would say, well, that makes sense. No one's you can't buy a lock to lock your kid in the closet. But with that, we also don't allow you to use GiveSendGo to transition your underage children into a different gender. We believe that's child abuse. And so we're not going to allow you to do that. Now, if you're 18 and you're of legal age to make that choice for yourself, then you could use GiveSendGo, and we're going to reach out to you, and we're going to pray with you, and we're going to share hope with you. Because most of the time when you are walking through something like that, there's some confusion and something going on even bigger than just that I don't feel comfortable in my body. But we're not going to allow a parent to use GiveSendGo to transition a child. We believe that's child abuse. So those are our two clauses right now: no child abuse and no murder.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It's not quite libertarian. You do have your values, and you mentioned the transitioning. But if somebody was, I don't know, 18 or older or 21, whatever.
Yeah, 21, whatever the age is.
You would not stand in the way. But you are pro-life in the sense that if the pro-choice lobby was trying to do a fundraiser, or somebody was doing a fundraiser to have an abortion, that'd be a no-no for sure.
Absolutely. And we really feel strongly about that. And there are other platforms that are very pro-choice that you can go to. So the only reason someone would come to the #1 free Christian crowdfunding platform, GiveSendGo, to have an abortion is to try to make a scene. And you know what? We welcome people. We love people. We love people we disagree with. It's something that our world has kind of told us that we can't do.
Yeah.
And we're watching it done day after day, because when I get in a car accident or when my daughter gets diagnosed with cancer and I put a crowdfunding campaign up, no one's asking me if I'm Republican or Democrat or what I voted for in order to give to my daughter who has cancer, right? Or any tragic circumstance. People come together, and this is what we see as a hope on GiveSendGo, is that people come together no matter what their circumstances when there is a need. Your neighbor has a house fire, people come together. The heart of America is still there, where people, they're telling us it's not, but it is. When there's a tragedy, when something happens, people cross those party lines and say, we're going to step in and help you through this tragedy. And we're seeing it happen every day on GiveSendGo.
So you're very open-minded. You have this compassionate view of the world. You're open to dialogue to all peoples of faith, no faith, who disagree with you, agree with you, which suggests really that's not quite the same on the left, the liberal left, and among those platforms who censor people. I mean, I get the sense that they take a more aggressive, hostile approach to people of faith.
We are seeing that. We hear a lot of times from campaigns. I could go on with lists. If I had 10 minutes, I could find lists of people that come to GiveSendGo and say, I was taken off this other platform, and so that's why I'm on GiveSendGo, because they aren't kind to people who, it's funny because we think of the word tolerance, and that seems to be the leftist term, right? Like, we want to be tolerant, and tolerant isn't just being kind to people you agree with. That's not tolerant. Tolerant is saying, no, even if I disagree with you, I still see value in you as a human being. And who am I to actually be that brazen to think that everything I think is 100% right? We all are a product of our upbringing and our surroundings and things like that, the things we've experienced. And the only way we're going to get better as people is by having dialogue, of listening to people that disagree without getting angry and going, wow, that's an interesting perspective. Let me think on that for a little bit. And that's what we really are trying to do at GiveSendGo. We believe it's what's going to continue to push our country together, rather than what we're seeing where we're being people are trying to divide us.
It offers a sort of a seal of approval, as it were, if somebody's using your website and is fundraising, and somebody who's familiar with your marketing or your brand say, oh, gee, I know these guys. Yeah, I'm going to support my neighbor because not only is it a good cause, but this is a great website.
So that's what we're seeing. We're actually seeing a lot of people saying, I want to support you, but if you use this other site, I can't do it because of their position, what we've seen happen over the last couple of years. So you have to start a GiveSendGo if you want me to support you. It's been a great marketing. It's been great for us because we haven't really had to do anything. Our competitors are the ones pushing people toward us, and we welcome them with open arms and say, hey, this is why we're here. We're here to give you a voice. And we say, from the womb to the tomb, you will have a voice on GiveSendGo.
That's wonderful. And so you do have competition per se, although, what does that really mean? Because you said the competitors are, your competitors in effect are sending business to you. But I'm thinking of, there's Facebook, there's GoFundMe. Are there any other ones? We don't have to mention them all by names, but is it a crowded field?
It was for a little bit, but what we're watching, there's a few other pretty big ones. I think GiveSendGo in the US is the second largest philanthropic crowdfunding platform, right under GoFundMe. There are sites like Kickstarter, which is in a different league. It's for people that are inventing something or coming out with an album, like a different, you invest in somebody's product. But as far as for philanthropic, hey, I'm just giving because you have a need and it's a good thing to do. I'm not getting anything back. GiveSendGo is the second largest one in the US at this time, because GoFundMe scooped up probably 3 or 4 over the last couple of years, and brought them into their platform. And so it kind of left us with a good sized playing field. As again, we used to call ourselves the alternative, and now we say we're the replacement, because we are going to be replacing some of these other big names in crowdfunding, because it's a horrible marketing strategy to say, I'm going to eliminate half of my user base and try to be the best. And so we're like, let's just step right into this position. They're holding it open for us.
Yeah. Any milestones, records you broke on your platform in terms of fundraising, crowdfunding?
Sure. Yeah. So we had that big Canadian trucker platform, which we saw our largest month ever, because just that one campaign raised over $13 million on that one campaign. So that was our largest campaign ever. It was. And then we are seeing month over month. So all of last year, probably 9 months of last year, every month we beat our record from the prior month of campaigns made and of funds processed. And so we give our team a bonus every time we beat our prior month, when we beat our record. And so all month they were getting bonuses almost every month, because we kept beating our record. Then we hit the trucker campaign, which was that 13 million. And we haven't beat that month yet, but we're going to wipe that from our team so that they can still receive these bonuses. And we're on track this month again to beat our record if you took out that trucker campaign, which is a one-time big campaign in the middle of the year. But we're on track this month to blow away our record prior to the truckers. And so it is growing. It is growing, and it's because we're standing with character. People say, GiveSendGo, you guys have such a good name. You're doing things right. And we're not beholden to anybody. A lot of people will say, who owns GiveSendGo? Who's the money behind GiveSendGo? Who's calling these shots? And me and my brother look at each other and kind of laugh. And go, if they knew it was just us, they wouldn't be as scared.
Yeah. Heather, what's it like running a company that operates 24/7, 7 days of the week, 24 hours?
It is way bigger than I ever imagined. Jacob and I, when we started, it was him and I and a developer, and we did everything, right? You start up, you do every part of the company, customer service and marketing, and really everything. Now we have teams of people to do those things. And it is just as exciting and just as stressful to have teams of people that you're leading through building out training materials and building out, just all the systems needed. But it's exciting as well, because it's exactly what our dream was, that we would have a crowdfunding platform that would be known to the world as a place that people could come. And again, I know I keep saying this, and have a voice, and that we could share hope, because that you ask anybody on our team what our mission statement is at GiveSendGo. And again, we are a freedom platform. But it's to share the hope of Jesus through crowdfunding is what our team would tell you, because that we check everything we do by that. Are we sharing hope with people? When people write in and they hate us, and we get a lot of hate mail, are we still responding in kindness? We want to be different. We want to show the world that we can be different and still be a big player in the marketplace. And we're watching it happen. And running a business that's open 24 hours a day, we have to have customer service on, we have to have development. We can't sleep, because, who knows what happens on the weekend. So we're building out those teams to support this. And we have awesome people. Like, if I could shout out, everybody's name, like, I just can't believe the quality of people that have been brought to our team at GiveSendGo. It's amazing.
Well, they all buy into it. That's the interesting thing about it's a bit of a hackneyed phrase, but a purpose-driven company, which yours clearly is. So there's a strong attachment, I would share, among employees who share your values. I don't know what it's like, to work at Facebook or these other companies, but they keep changing their rules and going down strange twists and strange turns. That's got to be disconcerting even for anybody in the so-called liberal camp hate all those phrases, but we have to use them.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched recently, I'm sure, PayPal's like little, change of terms, and then, well, wait, we didn't mean to do that. Well, that's really concerning that you could have someone change your whole terms of service and say, hey, if you spread misinformation or hate speech, we can fine you $25,000 or $2,500. And so how does that happen? How do you have someone on your team that feels like they could put this? We were joking around at our leadership meeting on our team, wow, that's a really bad voice to text, oops, because they came back and said, oh, we didn't mean to put that in there. And it's like, well, how does that, you can't accidentally put that in there. It's not like voice to text where, oh, it changed what I was trying to say. No, you put that in there and now you're getting blowback, and people are canceling their PayPal accounts. And I highly recommend people canceling their PayPal accounts, because even if they pull back and say, we didn't mean to put that in there, somebody there on a high level has that feeling that that should be what is happening. And so we know the writing's on the wall. So don't wait till they come all out and start taking your money because you are outspoken about your faith or your political beliefs or anything that's important to you. Don't wait for them to shut you down. Let's shut them down, because this should not be companies in America that can tell you that if you speak what you believe, you can be fined from them. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, we're running out of time here, Heather. What's next up for your platform? Where does it go from here?
So a couple of big things that we're doing. We're getting ready to launch cryptocurrency, so that will be an option that people will be able to donate in cryptocurrency or receive. It's not going to be mandatory. People can choose how they want to accept funds. And it looks like our processor has opened up to a few more countries. So we're looking to add those countries to our 86 that we already have. And we're just going to continue to stand in the space and say, we've got your back, and we're going to allow you to use GiveSendGo, whatever. And one day when you need us, and for some reason you're against what all the world tells you, you'll be very thankful that GiveSendGo is here for you. And that's what we tell people all the time, even our haters. We say one day your opinion might be different than everybody else's, and you're going to be glad there's a platform that allows you to have a voice as well. And so we're just going to keep walking this out, growing. It's exciting. This won't be the last you hear of us.
Well, we'll have to catch up again. Give us the contact details, name of your platform one more time.
Sure. So you can go to GiveSendGo. It's 3 words, GiveSendGo.com. And then we also have GiveSendGo.org, which is our charity branch, which is recently launched. You can go there and start reading a little bit about the exciting things that we're going to be doing through our charity branch. So GiveSendGo.com, you can see lots of campaigns. You can give to them. You can start a campaign within minutes and start receiving money. Within 10 minutes, you can have it done. So please check us out. We're here for you.
Heather Wilson, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.